Good afternoon. I'm Katelyn Matson, and this is the Classical Cafe. Join us tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock for Curtain Call Opera the World Over. Hear Kansas's very own Samuel Ramey singing in a recording of Vincenzo Bellini's Norma alongside Joan Sutherland, Luciano Pavarotti, and Montserrat Caballé. That's tomorrow evening at 7 o'clock. And this is the Green Room. And who do I have in front of me? None other but Samuel Ramey. Hello, Sam. Thank you for being here.
Nice to be here. Always nice to be here.
Since your recording of Norma is top of mind for me, I am very curious to hear about your recording career. You have quite a discography. In this particular recording, we are just name after name after name. Joan Sutherland and Pavarotti and Caballé, and then you think about how these were your friends. These are the people that you saw and worked with every day. What was it like? Because to us, you're all just such legends.
Yeah, I'm sure people read down the cast list of that recording, Caballé, Sutherland, Pavarotti. Ramey? Who's Ramey?
Quite the opposite. I feel like you fall in line with them quite naturally.
Well, I do have quite a kind of an amusing little story about that recording. It goes back. We did the recording, I think, and it was in London in the mid 1980s, sometime. I think 1986 maybe. But I remember we were all called out. They did this recording in one of the favorite recording places. It was called the Watford Town Hall. They found all these town halls around London to do these recordings. Where you get away from the traffic and all that. But anyway, we were called there one day for just a bit of rehearsal before the recording started. So I remember getting out there and going in, and there's Luciano and Joan Sutherland's around, and everybody's waiting for Montserrat. She was always on Latin time. And so she finally arrived, and she walked in, and she had a bouquet of flowers. And she walked up to Joan Sutherland, and she kneeled and held the flowers up. And Joan Sutherland said, "Oh, flowers for the prima donna." And Caballé was sort of giggled and went, "No, flowers from the prima donna." I don't know. They may have planned that. I don't know. But it was amusing.
Goodness me. And other recordings as well. We're going to listen to several today. You're all over our playlist today. We joked earlier on, it's Sam Ramey Day here at Radio Kansas, since you're joining us. You have worked with on stage and also in the recording studio every major vocalist in the past 35, 40 years. And I'm just so curious, with all of these experiences, for you, it's your work. For us, it seems so incredibly special and precious, every single experience you must have had. And this is probably an impossible question, but I am very curious if there is an experience that stands out in your mind, either on the stage or a recording of yours, that you think back upon and say to yourself, that was really something that meant so much to me. That's going to stay with me forever.
Well, yeah, I don't know. The one recording that I did that immediately sort of pops into my mind, which I enjoyed. I thought studio recordings could be sort of not very exciting, because everybody's striving to be have the perfect notes and everything. They want everything to be perfect, and so they can be a little bit I don't know what
tedious, perhaps.
Yeah, a little bit. But anyway, I did a recording of Mozart's Marriage of Figaro. And was with George Schulte conducting, and let's see, Kiri Takanawa and Lucia Pop, and a really good lineup of
Oh,
wonderful singers.
those.
Yeah, and that's one of the recordings that I felt had really sort of a you could imagine it coming from a stage and being a live performance. I always felt that was, maybe I'm the only person that has that opinion, but I felt that way about that
Oh,
recording.
wonderful. And as far as a live performance goes, do you have any huge faux pas? Is there a night on stage where just disaster happened or something that you broke character so incredibly I mean, do you have a memory of something like that where, you and your fellow castmates are trying to, keep from busting out laughing and breaking character in the middle of, some
Well,
serious Puccini moment?
I I can think of one time when it's kind of a disastrous, not really a disastrous moment, but I was singing. This goes back to the 1970, 79. It was 1976. It was my debut at the festival in Glyndebourne, and I was doing, oops, Marriage of Marriage of Figaro. I was doing Figaro and Marriage of Figaro, and it was my first time doing it in Italian. I had done it a lot previously at the new. I had been singing at New York City Opera for some time, and they had a production there, which I did quite often. But they did Mozart operas in English in that time. And so I had sung Figaro. I did my first Figaro here at Wichita State back in the 60s. And so I knew the English very well. So I was, it was a project learning it in Italian, all the recitative and everything. So anyway, opening night, come through the first act, pretty much, and it comes to the aria that ends the first act, Non più andrai, Figaro's aria to Cherubino. Well, I finished my line of recitative, and then the orchestra starts, and I went, from now on, my adventure. I just lost concentration for a minute, and I did like the first phrase in English, and then I immediately switched, and everybody on stage was guffawing. And
Oh, that makes me laugh. See, not even you are perfect. Uh, we'll be back in just a moment to continue talking with Samuel Ramey. Uh, we're gonna hear that Figaro aria right now. However, I
oh,
do believe you are singing it in Italian.
excellent.
Sam Ramey with the London Symphony Orchestra singing Figaro's first act aria from Le Nozze di Figaro by Mozart. I'm Katelyn Matson, and this is The Green Room, and I have Sam Ramey with me talking about his operatic career. Now, Sam went to Wichita State University, returned to Wichita several years ago. Has it been 10 years since you first came back to teach at
Um,
Wichita State?
well, I started teaching, and which out here, I'd come, for 3 weeks in the fall and a few weeks in the spring, until I decided to do it full time when we moved here. So I think I started the teaching out here probably around 2011, or yeah, I think around 2010 or 11.
And long before then, you established an opera fellowship,
Mhm.
essentially a scholarship that was established in 1994 called the Samuel Ramey Opera Fellowship. And then in 2001, you created the Samuel Ramey Professional Development Fund. That fund, is that to help students make the transition from student to professional?
Yeah, it's to help them, for they can get the money for like to audition, to going someplace to audition or things like that.
And auditioning is difficult. You have to
Yes.
be on a plane, you have to go to Manhattan, you know, carve at least 2 or 3 trips to New York City every winter to
Hmm.
catch the auditions you need to catch. It can be difficult, especially if you've made, Middle America your home base.
Right. Yeah.
And you're getting ready to sing a small role in an opera that you're quite well known for. Tell us a bit about performing in Carlisle Floyd's Susanna.
Well, yes, I've Susanna has been with me for many, many years. My voice teacher here at Wichita State back in the 1960s was a man named Arthur Newman, and he was one of the so-called charter members of the old New York City Opera Company. I mean, he was with the company from the very beginning. So yeah, when it came time for the Susanna had its world premiere, I think in Florida, was it? I think Florida. I'm not sure. Florida, someplace. And so when they brought it to New York City Opera for its New York premiere, New York premiere, my teacher Arthur Newman sang the role of Elder McLean. And so he used to talk about this opera. He said, "You should get a score of that and then start looking at it, because I think it will be a good opera for you one day in the future." So I rode off immediately and got us to Patelson's in New York and got a score. So I have a first edition vocal score. That I've had since sometime in the 1960s. It's seen its better days. It's traveled all over the world, but I always hoped at some point to get to do the opera, and I finally did after I'd sung at New York City Opera a number of years. My first time doing it was with the opera in San Diego. And
Singing Blitz.
Singing Blitz, yes, yeah, Singing Blitz, and I was fortunate that in that they brought a production in, but they brought Carlisle Floyd to direct the production. So it was great doing it for the first time. Having, the composer right there, I had many hours of coaching with him on the dialect. He was very picky about the way you pronounce the English. He wanted it to sound like that deep southern people.
Yes. Does it take place? Does it take place in
Tennessee?
Tennessee, in the
New
mountains.
Hope. I don't know if the place New Hope Valley actually exists. I would be surprised if it does, but yeah, it's set in the backwoods of Tennessee.
Yeah, I saw a photograph recently of you, Carlisle Floyd, actually at Wichita State.
Yeah,
it had to have been sometime in the last decade.
It was when we did Susanna in 1960 and 2013. When we did Susanna, I did when we were first talking about it with Marie King, our director. I said, Carlisle usually shows up at venues where the opera is done. I said, well, maybe we could. So I managed to get in contact with his people, and we worked out that he would come. He came and spent a week before the opening of the opera. He did a couple of master classes, I think, at the university, and he met with the composition students, and it was great fun having him here.
And incredible for the students. And now we're getting ready to hear Susanna again at Wichita State.
Right.
Marie King's coming back to direct it. Is that correct? And Alan Held is music director?
No, music director is a fellow named Whitney Reeder.
We know Whitney Reeder. Yes, absolutely. Also a Wichita State alum.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he tells me stories of getting my autograph from me. When I came here and sang, he was with the symphony. I don't know when. I don't remember when that was, but I did a concert with the symphony and bass arias with chorus, and they used the Wichita State chorus kids. And he played in the orchestra, and he said, "Yeah, I got your autograph after that guy." I said, "Really?
Sam, I sang in that chorus. It was
You
my
did?"
it was my senior year. And can I tell you something? My senior year, 2001, I was the recipient of the Samuel Ramey Opera Fellowship.
Oh,
Can you believe that?
all
And
right.
I sang in that chorus. And I remember you sang Blitch's aria as part of
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
I think we did the revival scene. Yeah, the big revival scene.
Well, this time around, you're singing one of the elders.
Yeah, Elder McLean.
Wonderful. Uh, I think it's so wonderful to talk with you and the experiences that you've had as a musician. For all of us listening, it's just, I don't know, it's like soul food listening to these stories of yours. And also so lovely that you continue to work with students so closely. And we're just so blessed, by lack of a better word, to have you back in Kansas, not only sharing your gifts, but also working with everybody at Wichita State. And it has been wonderful talking with you. And you have to come back again. We'll just call it a Sam series, and we're ready for part 3.
Okay, anytime, whenever you're ready.
Got it. Thank you so much, Sam.
Okay, you too. You have a good day.